Hey everyone, welcome back to Sama, Sisters Against Mental Abuse. I'm your host, Misty, and today's episode is going to be a little bit of tough love. I will include a slight trigger warning because it does involve a facial injury. I don't think there'll be any gore or anything like that, but just in case. So, I saw a post that went viral like last month in April sometime, and it was a woman with an injury on her face. I mean, it's covered, but you could see something happen, and it's a huge thing of gauze on her face, and she's posing with this dead man. She's got her face on his face as he lays in his casket. So, this is obviously a funeral. The caption says, RIP Alonzo Burrell, my husband, 2008 to 2022. Heart emojis, heart face emojis. You messed me up with this one. And when I saw it, people were dragging her from the left and they were dragging her to the right and back from the left and back to the left. And like they were dragging her. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, oh, you know, it's gross that she's got her face on a corpse, but that was her husband. So I looked up a little bit more. So I went to the page and I saw this post, and it says the person that shot half my face off, which is my husband, just offed himself. Lord, I didn't want that. And then she put his name. So I was like, okay, so was it an accident or like what happened? What's going on here? So I googled his name. So when I googled his name, I found out the reason that he took his life is not out of guilt. And it wasn't an accident when he shot her. He took his life because police were knocking at his motel door. Because after he shot this woman and left her to bleed out and die, he took off. He ran off and went into hiding. And obviously, he didn't do a good job because the police found him. She got shot in the face March 18th, and they found him on April 7th. So now at this point, I'm like, what is going what is going on here? What is going on here? So I did scroll through her page, and she's got a little bit of her journey here. She talks about the different surgeries and everything that she has to go through. And I guess right after he offed himself, she's talking about how she almost forgot to go to her procedure. She has a procedure in the morning to help her with her face, and she almost forgot it. It's like Black women don't know when to focus on themselves. I mean, prioritize yourself. She needs to be in therapy. She needs to be taking steps to take care of her injury. And she's not. She's worried about this fool. So I want to let you hear what she said herself here.
Hi, my name is Ebony Mixon. On March the 18th, 2022, I was shot in my face by my husband. The paramedics, the doctors, and the police officers that was in the emergency room thought I was dead. But thank God I'm still here.
Yeah. So everyone thought she was dead, including this man. The father of her son, her husband, left her for dead and went into hiding. Now, so at this point, I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What? I still can't make sense of why she went to this man's funeral and hugged up with his corpse after he did this to her. Not only is she neglecting to take care of herself, she's putting herself in a most likely triggering situation. I don't see where she's seeking any kind of help. She did mention having nightmares, and it sounds like she has PTSD. Um, so the other thing that I wanted to address really quickly, because this whole thing is warped, and I know y'all know better than this. Like, don't. There's no way that she should be going to this guy's funeral and taking pictures with his corpse, of course. So here's the post where she said she woke up with her head wet and her shirt was drenched, and she thought she got shot in her sleep, and she thought her sweat was blood. Yes, it was a dream. So she's having nightmares. And you can't tell me that going to this man's funeral made it any better. It was a stupid move. Ladies, if you are getting out of one of these relationships, and I know it can be extra hard if the person passes away or something happens to them, but it's never a good idea to go back into this sort of situation. You can forgive from a distance. So anyway, the other thing, these comments are sickening. Almost every comment that I came across in some way, shape, or form told her that she was a strong woman for going to this man's funeral. And I disagree. Strength is not endurance. How many times do I have to tell you all? Having boundaries and defending boundaries, setting boundaries, enforcing boundaries, that's strength. Walking away from a terrible situation when you know that you're afraid, that's strength. When you're emotionally attached and you have to cut this person off, so you do it, that's strength. So there's only one person that had a brain here. This comment, I followed your story. This is what battered woman syndrome and trauma bonding looks like. This woman detailed how her husband abused her and then shot her in the face in an attempt to take her life. Eventually, he ended his own life, and this is her reaction. Black women in particular need a lot of therapy and introspection when it comes to domestic violence and the indoctrination received by the Black community at large. This is not normal. It's not normal. And I don't know how many times I got to tell you all this too. Our community gives us this environment where we think that right is wrong and wrong is right, where we think that we have to be strong, where we think that we have to endure whatever other people dish out toward us. We are conditioned in our community to make excuses for other people that aren't even offering excuses or apologies. We have so much on our back in the Black community, it's ridiculous. So on top of you taking care of everyone, you don't have the time or the energy to take care of yourself. And that's something that we have to unlearn. The other thing about these comments calling this woman strong is that it's all other Black women. Like, can we please stop doing this? Like, I've seen where Black women sit in circles and they all complain about their guy and what they're describing. And like, it's not just venting. They're talking about abusive behaviors. Like, they're describing mental abuse, financial abuse, psychological, all these different types of abuses, and they're sitting in a circle with each other talking about it, but they're not talking about it in a sense that it's wrong and that we all need help and that, you know, we need to find solutions or walk away. They're talking about who's stronger. Oh man, he went and had a baby on you and then, you know, came back and he was an alcoholic. You're so strong for dealing with that. Oh my goodness, he's been verbally abusive to you and you're just really strong. And it's not even in a condescending way. They really think that enduring all these sorts of abuses is strong. Stop doing that, because you are pretty much supporting this other Black woman being in this abusive relationship when you tell her how strong she is. Stop doing that, because that's the same thing other people do to us. That's the same thing that white women do to us. Oh, you're so strong. They're like egging on that behavior. They don't want you to get help. It's not about you getting help or finding peace or anything. It's about you continuing that behavior. So when you say things like, oh, you're so strong, you're subconsciously telling them to continue whatever messed up behavior that they're doing. And it needs to stop. So instead of us sitting in these circles talking about how each other is strong, why don't we sit in these circles and come up with better ideas, or, you know, support each other to love? Hey, you know what? I can hear that you dealt with this. I know a therapist. I mean, and I know a lot of y'all are reluctant to go to therapy, but that is right now, that's what we need. We really do, because so many of these behaviors we have to unlearn. And so I want to show this other post too, because this is kind of what I was talking about. This is a message that was sent to the woman that went to this funeral. And it says, I would love to speak with you. Good morning. By the way, you're a strong, beautiful Black woman. I was kidnapped at gunpoint. He broke my jaws, both of them. I'm 28 years old. I have lupus and liver disease, and all this stuff has taken my self-esteem. I really do hate my face and everything about me. Oh my God, that's exactly what the hell I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about, where we get into these circles and she's just describing trauma. She's just describing abuse like it's nothing. And then oh, well, I hate myself, blah, blah, blah. What? And I mean, of course, this woman comes back and she tries to say something encouraging, but it's just, why is it so commonplace for us to just we just talk about trauma like that? And it's nothing. Like, stop. Just, we need to unnormalize this stuff and normalize healthy relationships, healthy friendships. If you see somebody is being abused, speaking up or saying something. And I know, you feel like you don't want to get in the middle of it. You don't want to, blah, blah, blah. But the same way that you're encouraging them by telling them that they're strong to stay in these relationships is the same way that you could be saying something to help them get out of it. Like, Black women, like, we also have a role to play in our community because we are, or her being called strong, it's the fact that if he did not take his own life, if police never found him, and he still shot her and left her for dead, if he came back, she would have taken him back. That's the energy I'm getting. That's what it's giving. And that's the most disturbing thing to me, because I don't know how else to express. You all have to learn some boundaries. Like, Black women have to learn boundaries. And this is beyond about, this is like pretty much a no-brainer. But I really, really feel like if he was still alive and he came back and said, I'm sorry, bought her some flowers, she would have taken him back. And we need to re-examine why that's so commonplace. Anyway, so that's it for me today. If you are a Black woman with a story to share about surviving mental abuse, you can reach out to me at samatogethernow@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. If you are a Black woman in the mental health field and you also would like to come on the show, please do reach out per that email that I just said. And thanks. Have a good night.